Lando Norris's exceptional win in Miami has got the F1 world asking if Red Bull are finally able to be beaten. With the first European race of the season this weekend in Imola, every team will have new parts ready to try and improve performance and earn some vital points. It is McLaren and Ferrari who will be getting all the attention though. With Verstappen at risk of losing back-to-back races for the first time since the British and Austrian Grand Prix back in early July 2022, the rest of the grid look in the best shape since then to make that happen. But will it be Ferrari or McLaren who can manage it? Let's check it out. Red Bull's F1 form has been incredible for almost 2 years now. Max hasn't lost back-to-back races since the first 2 weeks of July 2022, and since then his team has only lost 4 races. At face value, that makes it seem like there's no hope for anyone else at this weekend's Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, or to give it its full name, the Formula 1 MSC Cruises Gran Premio della Made in Italy e dell'Emilia-Romagna 2024. If nothing else, the race will be memorable for having one of the stupidest names in the sport's history. But it might also be memorable as the third race this season that Red Bull lose. Since the start of the season, Red Bull have lost twice, the exact same number of times they lost in the 23 races last year, and in Miami, they look weaker than ever. Not that Adrian Newey was too worried, instead spending a weekend racing at the Monaco Historic Grand Prix. If he does decide that he doesn't want to work on the engineering side of F1 anymore, maybe he can take a seat driving next season. Before he took the weekend off though, he did make sure that Red Bull had some parts to help arrest their current slump in form, if that's what you can call winning 4 of the last 6 races. More on that in a minute though. The big question a lot of people have been asking is whether or not Miami was a fluke, or can McLaren really compete with Red Bull regularly? The upgrades that were fitted to Lando Norris's car in America included a new front wing, new front suspension geometry, a revised front brake duct and winglet, a completely revised floor, and new bodywork and engine covers. Enough was changed in Miami that you could call the car the MCL38B or even the MCL39. Lando looked fast all weekend in America, and even though his sprint race was ruined in the Turn 1 incident, he recovered to win on Sunday. While the safety car may have helped things a bit, the pace either side of the safety car for Norris suggested that an upgraded package for the British driver had paid dividends as McLaren aims to bridge the gap to Formula 1's frontrunners. Red Bull did later reveal that Verstappen had some floor damage after running over the bollard at the chicane before the back straight, but Lando's pace before that happened was still very impressive. After Verstappen pitted for hard tyres on lap 23, he never again lapped quicker than Lando did, though that was after the run-in with the bollard. The Woking-based outfit only gave Norris the full upgrade package at Miami, with Piastri taking on a select number of new components. But the Australian's performance was still strong, and having run as high as second in the first stint, had looked likely to fight for a podium position, only for a frustrated Carlos Sainz to lose the back end of his Ferrari at turn 17 and swipe Piastri's front wing. The contact forced Piastri to pit and eventually finish out of the points, but finding the positives from the event, he said, "I think for both of us, the car was really strong. For Lando to win the race on pace and to pull away from Max after the safety car, I think that's a very, very encouraging sign." What is even more encouraging though is that Lando's race engineer Will Joseph said, "The package should favour other circuits more than it does here in Miami." We'll find out soon enough how much it'll favour Imola, but Red Bull are working to resolve their recent issues. In Australia, Verstappen retired early from the race with brake problems, and in Miami, they had a request to change brake parts under Parc Ferme rejected by the FIA, leading to speculation about there being a problem which was holding them back. The talk in the paddock in Miami was that that problem might be costing them 0.3 of a second in lap time. With Ferrari bringing a huge suite of upgrades to Imola as well, so much that people are already calling it the SF24 Evo, Red Bull could find themselves in a 3-way fight for a race win, something that F1 hasn't seen in a very long time. Red Bull aren't sitting still though, and in Imola they'll have a package of their own. We know what Red Bull's problems are in F1. Failing to get his tyres into an optimal window has been an almost constant complaint from Verstappen. In Miami, as well in other races this season, failing to activate the Pirelli tyres literally drove Verstappen crazy. He was constantly on the team radio complaining about the tyres either not reaching their optimal temperature range or falling out of that range once they were there, which is why his grip wasn't ideal and consequently his performance suffered. The upgrades are reported as being minor. We're talking about corrections on the car which, on a theoretical level, bring them the possibility of unlocking a good amount of performance, which is currently being hidden behind brake and tyre problems. How much performance is unlocked is a worry, with Helmut Marko saying after Miami, "We are bringing an upgrade to Imola, which I expect a lot from." While McLaren managed to catapult themselves into second position in F1's pecking order in Miami, Ferrari have been Red Bull's closest competitor for most of the season and will match Red Bull in Imola with upgrades of their own. Red Bull's isn't expected to be a major package, but Ferrari revealed at their filming day on Friday at the Fiorano test track that theirs will be huge. Centered around a change in philosophy for the sidepod and engine cover bodywork, the rest of the SF24 will also undergo a transformation as the team look for ways to apply pressure on Red Bull and stem the flow of the threat now posed by a resurgent McLaren. Ferrari, having moved to the underbite sidepod inlet at the start of the season, is now sporting an overbite arrangement, similar to the layout we've seen Red Bull pursue in 2024. The decision to move to the underbite sidepod was inspired by Red Bull's 2023 design, just as this decision to go to an overbite design is a response to Red Bull's design this season. Their new sidepod inlet and bodywork design is topped with a big wing that extends from the mirror stalks all the way to the front of the cockpit. This wing will help condition the flow over the sidepod, improving the performance of the critical rear-end assembly. The overall shape of the sidepod's bodywork has also been reprofiled, with a more generous undercut now present that has allowed Ferrari's designers to rework the shape of the sidepod's flank and adjust its waistline cut to better work with the floor alongside. All these changes are matched up with a reprofiled floor. Visually, it is all a big change, but what difference it makes in terms of lap time is a complete mystery. With the changes coming at the home of Ferrari, the Scuderia's fervent fan base will be hopeful for a race win. In terms of home support, the Tifosi at Imola are probably the loudest on the entire F1 calendar. But with McLaren and Red Bull also in the mix for that race win, who actually ends up winning the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix is harder to predict than it has been for a few years. Ferrari boss Fred Vasseur summed up Red Bull's current position perfectly after Miami. They're not anymore in the comfort zone of last year, where it doesn't matter what happens, and after lap 2 they were in front. What that means in Imola will be the center of attention this weekend. Do you think further refinement of the McLaren upgrades this weekend can help them in the fight for another race win? Will Red Bull's upgrades move them back ahead of the rest of the front runners? Or can Ferrari capitalize on a big upgrade package to win in front of their home fans? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.